Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about how the mainstream media recognizes there is no future for late night TV.
You don't say.
What? Yeah, so this is coming from The Wrap. They have a couple articles on. They're basically talking about the numbers and how bad the numbers are for late night TV. And everybody was trying to say that the Colbert cancellation was strictly because of Trump, because he was speaking against Trump. Well, all these guys speak against Trump, and they're not canceled yet.
Yeah, but their comments they're making now are probably going to get them fired because, like I said before, if Colbert had the most views and they all were like second, third, fourth, fifth place or whatever, and he was getting gone, what makes them think they're staying?
He's the king of the crap, basically. Like, oh boy, you're the best, the best of the worst. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about how Paramount, speaking of the CBS News thing and the Skydance merger, they basically said that they might have an overseer there to go through CBS News and make sure that they're not saying anything they shouldn't say.
Well, because they don't want to get lawsuits. They don't want to have to be more big multi-million dollar settlements. They're all doing that.
They're all doing that. This is like The View, where they were giving the host the notes from the lawyers because they're like, oh shit, we could open ourselves up to defamation suit. We can't afford that. Skydance is an entertainment company first. They're not a news organization. They're an entertainment company, digital media company. They're going to be like, yeah, we don't want our people out there running at the mouth and costing us. I mean, we don't. So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Go out to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com for more podcasts and news that we do not have here on YouTube. You're only getting a little bit of us on YouTube. But it's interesting. You know, we've been talking about the situation with Colbert, and all these celebrities are really mad about it, and they're trying to make it strictly political. And yeah, like we've said before, that might have played into it somewhat, but really it comes down to the numbers.
I think so too. I mean, it's that they have valid grounds because of the numbers. They're going to definitely cite that as the reason why, because they're not going to admit if it was political. That's why. But again, two things be true at once.
Yeah.
But he was doing the best of the late night show hosts. He's going to get gone, and then these late night show hosts think, well, now's a great time to publicly talk shit on their networks, which is going to probably hasten their demise. It's like walking on the edge of the cliff and jumping off of it.
Yeah, and these guys, I mean, honestly, at this point, if it were me, I'd say, I understand you're upset. If he's your friend, he got canceled. I understand you're thinking, oh crap, I'm going to be next. I get that. But I'm also like, if you would like to keep your job and you'd like to keep your people employed, maybe you should just shut your mouth for now. Cause you know, you're going to wind up drawing attention to themselves. And that's what's going to happen. The networks might take a look at this and be like, oh, they got rid of Colbert. Oh, that saved them how much money? Well, how much money are we losing on our show? Right? Oh, that much. Well, shit, I wasn't thinking about it, but you know what? Get rid of it.
The other thought process could be like, to the one that's number one's out of the way, we might gain more, but I don't think you're going to gain enough to make it worth it. And we also don't know, and I mentioned this before, how if his contract was up in 10 months anyway, usually, you know, several months out, they start renegotiating. It couldn't matter, like his agents are reaching out to renegotiate, and it was right after he said stupid things, and they're like, no. You know, and that's why they did it now instead of waiting a few more months. Speaking
of Trump, the art of the deal, at least from my personal experience, not his book, but my personal experience is you wait for the right time to ask the right favor, right? And if you just got in a bunch of trouble and you made yourself a huge liability to the network, asking them for more money is probably not gonna go well.
I'm not saying that's what happened, but it's weird they're announcing that he gets to have 10 months. And I'm thinking that's awfully strange. You know, there's not renewing his contract. What would have led to that not renewal? Why mention it now? And it's probably because they were set to negotiate his new contract, and they're just like, nope.
So this is coming from The Wrap, the future of late night comedy. What's lost when, not if it goes away. They said in the wake of Colbert's cancellation, late night's future looks bleak for the other shows too. And Jon Stewart said, and I love this quote. He's 100% right. He said, "We're all basically operating a Blockbuster kiosk inside a Tower Records."
Yeah, it's true. It's a dinosaur. Like, people aren't the audience that you're getting tuning in, the audience that you're courting, the audience that the advertisers want, are right now either like hardly there or they're older people. Like the younger people aren't watching you. I mean, not the numbers you need them to be. And it's your audience they're either really, really old, so they don't fit in the demographic for advertisers, or they're really young and they're not watching you.
Yeah.
That's what, at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's just you don't have the eyeballs you need. And like any other business, if people stop coming to your business, you're not going to be able to stay in business.
No, you go out of business. They said the economics of late night no longer work, and Stewart, like his colleagues, knows it. So, I mean, this is the wrap. This is a Hollywood publication, and they're saying they're not even going into the whole, well, it's all political because Trump. It's like, no, they're like
the wrap. They're usually more fair, I think.
They
usually
are
more balanced. Not always, but usually they're more balanced at the wrap.
But they're saying that the economics don't work, and I don't think anybody was really paying very close attention to it until it came out, and the New York Times had the piece where they're like, yeah, they're losing like $40-50 million a year.
Right.
They said 6 years ago, the average viewership for Colbert's Late Show was 3.81 million people, according to Nielsen. By the second quarter of this year, it was down to 2.4 million. During that same period, average viewership dropped 13% for Jimmy Kimmel Live and 51% for Jimmy Fallon. Holy shit. And
God,
it's not
I
just...
can't stand Jimmy Fallon, just FYI. I mean, if you like him, that's cool. I just find him grating.
I think he's very, very fake, but whatever. It's not just viewership that's down. Ad revenue for The Late Show dropped about 25% from 2022 to 2024. The Tonight Show faring even worse with a 35% decline. That'd be Fallon. Though Late Night on the whole did see a 6% bump from July to July on the heels of Trump's reelection, probably election ads.
Yeah, which implies that they are pushing politics. Funny story, I didn't get to spend very much time with you the first time we met in person because, second time I met in person, I guess technically, because my sister was with me and I had to get her back to her house because she was going to go see Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
that.
I didn't get to spend as much time with you as I wanted to because I needed to leave early because my sister was with us. We met at a convention, and I had to drive her home like an hour away or more because she had tickets to go see Jimmy Fallon that night. So, Ironically, Jimmy Fallon cost me a lot of my second date.
That's okay. They were what?
Jimmy Fallon. It's not why I don't like him, though.
Yeah, no, that was back when he was just doing music and stuff, right? He was on SNL.
He was just a comedian then and stuff. Yeah, he wasn't doing all this.
So this is a late night producer. The shows are bloated. He pointed to people who join shows like The Late Show early in their careers and stick around for years. They might be good people, but there's like 18 of you people here. The salaries at those places are out of control. 200 people working at The Late Show, which is why the union was having a fit because they're probably thinking to themselves like, oh my God, all the union dues we're going to lose.
Well, then to multiply that times how many of these shows. So, if one goes down, the other ones, there's a good chance they're going to go next. And they'll probably give it some time to see if they pick up if the other person's gone. But talking shit that could get you in trouble is probably the wrong thing to do right now because this is going to hasten the demise.
So, and you can see the numbers here. And here's the thing, too. There are a lot more of these shows. Like when back in the day, it was only Johnny Carson.
Right.
Like we only had Johnny Carson. And then we had,
show,
then after that you had Letterman. Then Letterman went, head to head against the Tonight Show. And then it was like, oh, wow, we got two of these guys. Now we got like freaking 18 of he's right. There's like 18 different late night shows. And everybody's just kind of tuning out and, listening to the podcast or watching YouTube
Don't
or whatever.
Don't they have like the late shows too?
The Late Show, the Late Show, the Later Show. The freaking
it's actually morning now show.
It's actually morning. It's late somewhere
Drunk
show.
Go home show.
But like James Corden, he got gone, and a whole bunch of
nothing value was lost on that one for sure.
But you can see the numbers declining year over year, and because people aren't watching it, actually the money is going to YouTube and to Netflix and to podcasts, and because that's where the eyeballs are, that's where the people are. They said cuts already hit Fallon and Seth Meyers' shows last year. Colbert wasn't afforded the same opportunity. CBS scrapped the show outright. Most experts agree that Fallon, Kimmel, and Meyers will likely be the last people to host their respective franchises. So that means after they're done, the show's done. It's less clear what happens after late night TV ends and where these nightly stewards of broadcast TV go. Podcast hosts. Yeah. Podcast hosts now. Yeah, because Conan's like killing it on a podcast.
They'll go podcast 10 to 1.
Yep.
They'll go slum it with the rest of us.
Yep. Yeah, but no. They won't slum it with the rest of us. They'll get a
No, I
big
know.
fat
They'll get a
$100
bunch
million
of- yes.
podcast deal.
And
Yeah.
let me ask you this though: if you got, they were on the mainstream and they couldn't pull the numbers. What makes you think they're going to pull it on a podcast?
Well, okay, yeah, no, that's a good point because the thing about podcasts and YouTube and TikTok, all that stuff, you have to choose to. It's not passive. You have to choose to go find that person, go find that show, and listen to it. So I would say that a YouTuber or a live streamer or a podcaster, those listeners actually mean more because that person has to choose to listen to them.
Right, and unfortunately, these big celebrities go and get these podcasts handed to them, and they couldn't
Yes.
they couldn't bring it when they were given all the spotlights and the money and the bells and whistles and everything else, and then they go be a podcaster, get the big podcast deal, and they stop giving deals out because they overspent on these idiots who didn't bring the money, and then they passed on people who would have. Because they weren't the name. And my comment to people like Spotify's and stuff out there is this: you gave all that money to those people, and because they were a name, and they didn't, except for a couple examples, did totally bring it. But except for a couple examples, a lot of them didn't bring back. There wasn't a return on the investment. Where if you had gone with somebody who might not have been a name, it wouldn't have cost you as much, and you probably got a much bigger return on investment.
We have heard that spending in that space is down because there were a lot of really fat Hollywood podcast deals and the listeners were not there. Like these people become a household name because they're beamed into your house every day.
Right.
Right. But if you have to go find them, it doesn't mean as much. If you have to compete with Joe Rogan, good luck with that.
Exactly. Yeah. Have fun with that. Yeah.
They said there are consequences to these shows eventually going extinct. A successful late night show gives the network a built-in ambassador for the brand, which also helps drive publicity for the corporate parents' other products, incubate talent, and foster relationships. Yeah, that's the whole thing. They're worried about losing. Yeah.
Let's break this down. Go back up to that paragraph. A successful night show host will give the network a built-in ambassador for its brand. Bullshit. You have all kinds of other shows that you can take ambassadors from that are actually successful. If they're not being watched, why would you use them as an ambassador? Right. Incubate talent and foster relationships. Kiss Hollywood's ass.
Yes.
What are you talking about? Because you already have your host, and then you have a bunch of people that are minions for the host. Is that the talent you're talking about? Because all the attention's on the host. How are you getting new talent other than bringing in celebrities in from Hollywood to bolster your thing?
Well, why do you think that it's mostly celebrities that are losing their shit over him getting canceled?
Because where are they going to get their that's a big stop on their publicity tour. That and then like the daytime, like the morning shows. And it's like, well, you know what? Maybe make some friends with the people you hate on the YouTube.
Yeah, you're going to have to go on podcasts and YouTube channels, and you're going to have to be real because it's not going to be a scripted or controlled 8 or 10 minute segment. It's going to be you talking for an hour, half an hour to somebody, and you might get asked some questions you'd rather not be asked, but you have a chance to present yourself as a real person, and I think that scares some of these people too. So basically, the facade is crumbling all the way around. But yeah, they're saying they think he's going to wind up on a podcast or
I'm sure he will.
Directing stuff or producing stuff or Netflix or something.
Yeah, probably. They get to fail upward. And that's just it. But the thing is, you guys aren't, let's be honest, all these guys, for the most part, except for a couple, moved into a warm seat that was already ready over something that was legacy that was built over decades. And then it fell off a cliff. And they are partly to blame for that. People just don't like you. There's a reason. You're partly to blame. And they all wanted to be so political, and I think honestly, politics did them in. If they had just, not have you can wait to make political jokes here and there. You can totally do that, but they get so obsessed with it that they turn off people. Before you can laugh at something, but when you drive half your audience away, and then your audience is aging out. Younger people don't want this.
Yeah. So we're gonna go back around to CBS, and they're going to hire somebody. They're going to hire somebody to take a look at their news, apparently, because Skydance made the commitments to hire this person to oversee CBS News and a pair of filings to the FCC. So they're really pushing this consolidation merger. They told federal officials they're going to hire someone who's going to review complaints of bias at CBS News. This person's going to be in place for at least 2 years. So there are enough
complaints of bias that they're bringing somebody in just because of that.
Yeah, I think they're probably like, oh, hey, we're going to guarantee you that we're not going to have it. Which, look, some people are going to take as capitulating to Trump, like, oh, hey guys, we're gonna hire somebody so the whole CBS News thing, so it doesn't happen again. And so I mean, I get that, but they're probably like, hey, if you basically they're going to guarantee that we're not going to run at the mouth if you greenlight this thing. I don't think Skydance, I'm going to be honest, I don't think they're that interested in news. I think they're interested in movies and TV shows and stuff like that. But this again shows that, this is, at this point, it's strictly business. They're just trying to get this merger through. I think CBS News is going to be gutted. I don't think it really, I mean, again, the news media, it's the same situation with the late night shows. Just people are getting their news from other sources. They're going to die out, and they're going to speed the process up by running at the mouth against the powers that be at this point. I mean, it is what it is. You want to do that, you're more than welcome to do that on your own. But when you're taking corporate money and you're taking investor money and you're taking advertiser money to do that, it's not very punk of you to be like, well, I've got my staff of 200, my hundreds of millions of dollars to complain about the government. That's okay.
I know, right? Oh, the poor rich people.
poor millionaires. Anyway, we're going to wrap this up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.